if belief literally changes brain chemistry, then belief is it just a word for biological process that we don't fully understand yet?
Yeah.
I love the placebo effect.
For generations, women were shamed for trusting themselves, sensing things before they happen, and believing in their own power. No one encouraged them to embrace it until now. Welcome to Trust Yourself.
All right, kiddos, get your scrubs on because we are getting medical today.
Ooh.
Hi, I'm Elise, but my sister calls me Sissy.
And I'm her sister, Heidi.
And we're your favorite psychic sisters, teaching you that you all have incredible intuitive abilities. We just need to start practicing the muscle again. And one of those intuitive abilities, the ability to heal your own body.
What?
What? Heidi's like, what are we talking about? No, you know. So today we are talking about the placebo effect and telling you real stories of people who have healed themselves. And these people were told by doctors that they were basically done, that they had nothing left to try, and they healed themselves anyway. So before we get into this, big old disclaimer here for this episode specifically, we are not doctors, we are not giving anyone medical advice, and we are not anti-medicine.
No.
We are just two sisters sharing some wild stories that we've researched on the placebo effect. You may have heard of the placebo effect before, done in clinical trials, right? Where half of the controlled group is given actual medicine, the other half is given maybe a sugar pill. And the placebo effect is when people with the sugar pill experience healing benefits without medicine or treatment. And it's just a belief that they have actually received the treatment, but they didn't. So my big question is, why do people always poo-poo things like this as, it's just the placebo effect, like it didn't work?
Right.
It's not valid because it's not healed by medicine,
Right.
but they
that
healed
doesn't make
themselves.
Sense. Yeah, it still fucking worked.
It fucking worked. So to me, this is scientific evidence that we have healed ourselves without medicine. And so now I'm curious how much of our healing is actually controlled by our minds. It blows my mind. I'm so excited about this. So
yeah, this is awesome.
It's going to be fun. But just think about it. What if a sugar pill with absolutely zero medicine can shrink a tumor or take away chronic pain or help someone walk again? This isn't being woo-woo because this is published, documented science. So the placebo effect isn't a trick. It's actual proof that what you believe can change what's happening in your body. And I am super duper excited to talk about this now, especially, with my insurance prices being 3 times what they were last year.
Seriously.
Gross.
Can't wait to move to Ireland.
I know. And stress, anxiety, chronic illness, they're at an all-time high for us anyway in the United States. I'm sure they are everywhere too. But we're always so quick to outsource our healing to doctors, prescriptions, and experts. But what if we've been ignoring one of our most powerful healing tools that we already have, which is our own belief system? Again, doctors are so important. I am not against doctors. We need them. And science has made incredible discoveries in the medicinal field. I am not against medicine. I'm just saying that we can expand our toolbox or our medicine cabinet, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start off with some really cool stories. Before we get into this one, trigger warning for sexual trauma.
Yes. So I chose my case study today on Louise Hay. You might know Louise Hay. She is the founder of Hay House, the book publishing company.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's Louise Hay. So
Cool.
that's why I chose her, because
I love Hay House.
I love Hay House too. And that's why they are such pioneers in the self-help industry, which we'll get there.
Oh,
but
interesting.
Louise's backstory, she was born into poverty and she endured a violent stepfather and also lots of sexual trauma at a very young age. Her self-esteem got lower and lower. She ended up getting pregnant at 16 and she gave her baby girl up for adoption. And she later became a high fashion model in New York.
Well, hot damn.
Right? She crushed it. But her inner wounds were still very much there. She eventually found her way to the Church of Religious Science, where she became a practitioner, leading people through spoken affirmations to address illness. Then in 1977 or 1978, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer. And she concluded that its cause was from her resentment over her childhood abuse.
Yikes.
The location of this cancer was the thing that triggered her to assume it was tied to that. She literally traced her tumor back to unprocessed trauma, and she refused conventional medical treatment and began a regimen of forgiveness coupled with therapy, nutrition, reflexology, and occasional enemas. So, if you think about like flushing the system, it makes sense. Like you're getting rid of all the toxins. Like that's what comes out is the, anyways, we're not going to get into the poop, but
good shit.
It is good shit. So she developed an intensive program for affirmations, visualization, nutritional cleansing, and psychotherapy. Within 6 months, she had completely healed herself of cancer. Shit. Yes. So there is a controversy around this, of course, because she declared that there was no doctor who can confirm this story because she wasn't getting medical care, but she swore that it was true. Yeah. So it's entirely her word. There's no medical records on this because she wasn't using.
Wait, she didn't get medical diagnosis for the cancer or just?
Oh no, she got a medical diagnosis for the cancer and had it was gone. Like that was clear. So the medical evidence is that she had cancer. Now she doesn't have cancer.
Evidence
but
enough
they're
for
saying,
me.
Exactly. But they're saying, well, there's no evidence of what if she went and got treatment somewhere else in another country?
Got you.
And she's like, no. I did this all on my own.
Yeah.
That was that controversy. But it kind of makes you question, does it even matter how you got it done? The belief is the point. It happened. Mm-hmm. She cured her cancer. So her core philosophy is forgiveness was the centerpiece, specifically forgiving those who abused her. And she believed that her distress over her past had contributed to the disease, and thus the only way to eliminate it would be to cleanse herself of such. So her framework of negative thought patterns and unresolved emotional trauma manifest as this physical illness, and healing them heals the body. That led her to one of her best-selling books that directly associate physical problems such as cancer with specific negative emotional patterns, and asserting the healing and emotional components that will help heal the physical conditions. So she has a book called You Can Heal Your Life. It reached New York Times bestseller list and remained on it for 13 consecutive weeks with more than 50 million copies being sold throughout the world. So she also began a famous support group in 1985 called the Hay Ride. It started with 6 men diagnosed with AIDS. And by 1988, the group had grown to a weekly gathering of 800 people.
Ooh.
And she was dubbed the closest thing to a living saint by the Australian media and considered one of the founders of the self-help movement. So now you can see why Hay House is very much into the woo and into the self-help and healing. So that is why I'm very much drawn to Hay House, and hopefully one day want to be a Hay House published author.
Way cool. I feel like I kind of want to put a caveat out here, and I feel like we should be careful because we're not saying that those who have lost the battle to cancer didn't have a good mindset or didn't try hard enough or didn't have faith. I don't think that's a fair statement at all, because I know we've probably all lost someone to illness and we know that they fought like hell. I think the point we're trying to make in this episode is that the mind-body-soul connection is more powerful than most of us were ever taught. Yeah. And I think we're just starting to scratch the surface on this. So that's why I think this is so fascinating. And these stories of these people who experienced something extraordinary, we're just sharing them because they're incredible, not because we think they're the rule or something, right? Every person's journey with their health is their own, and we honor that fully. Sorry, I just want to say that because I know
that's good.
It's not easy to have someone in your family with cancer that's passed, and then you hear these stories like, "Oh, I healed myself." Great. That's awful, but it is still very interesting to think about this mind-body connection. So, okay, moving on. Another story I have is Anita Moorjani. Anita Moorjani's story is a little bit different because it involves a near-death experience.
Oh, yes.
We love those. So Anita had been living with Hodgkin's lymphoma for about 4 years. And by February of 2006, her body was shutting down. She was wheeled into the hospital with tumors the size of lemons throughout her lymphatic system, and her organs were failing. Doctors told her and her family that she had roughly 36 hours left to live.
Jesus.
Yeah, really bad. So while she was at the hospital, she actually slipped into a coma, and she described having a near-death experience where she felt an overwhelming sense of unconditional love and that sense of I'm in another place. You know, we've talked about near-death experiences before and multiple times, and they all kind of describe this unconditional love, which is so cool. And while in this other place, she had a profound realization. She was told, much like your story, Heidi, she was told that her cancer had been fueled by years of living in fear, people-pleasing, and not valuing herself.
I'm getting chills.
Goosies! I know. And then she was said that she was given a choice to come back, like a lot of NDEers.
Yeah.
Choice to come back. And then when she did decide to come back, she came back with a completely different relationship to herself. And the second she woke up, she started loving every cell in her body. And she said she spent every minute in that hospital bed just sending love to her body because she knew that's what it needed.
Wow.
And then within weeks, remember, she was given 36 hours to live. And then she had weeks go by, and then her tumors shrank dramatically.
Damn.
And within about 5 weeks, doctors couldn't find any trace of the cancer in her body whatsoever. It was gone.
Oh my God.
And her medical team was like, what the fuck happened?
I wonder if like that doctor that was like 36 hours, after hour like 48, the family's like side-eyeing the doctor. Like, you said it was 36. We're going on 72 hours here. What's going on?
I know. I'm not sure if I should be mad or happy.
I know, right? Like, well, I mean, think about the emotional roller coaster that family went through. Like, that's insane too.
Yeah. And you can't explain it through conventional treatment alone. So that was an incredible study. And many of you might have also heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, his self-healing journey, if you will. He was a chiropractor who now studies neuroscience after his experience. And he's very big in the woo-woo environment.
Yeah.
So in 1986, he was hit by a truck while competing in a triathlon. Can you imagine, first of all, a triathlon, then to be hit by a truck while doing it?
Ew, that sucks.
He broke 6 vertebrae in his thoracic spine.
Yeah, thoracic. Sorry, that's the nurse in me that has to correct
thank you. Thoracic. Thank you.
I don't know these words. I just read them on the internet.
Yep.
Thoracic. Yes. Multiple surgeons told him the same thing, that he needed a Harrington rod surgery.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I do.
I guess it's where they like fuse your spine together, or they put like a rod into your spine.
You literally get a rod up your back. You know, you'll never have bad posture after that though.
But you can't bend over, right? Like you can't.
Yeah, you still can. I mean, you've got limitations, but you can still live.
But the surgeon said without it, he's going to be paralyzed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he refused the surgery. And instead, he spent months lying face down, but he was mentally reconstructing his spine vertebrae by vertebrae in his own mind. He devoted hours each day to just visualizing his body rebuilding itself. And it took about 10 weeks. But after that, he was back on his feet and he didn't need the surgery. And then he was also training again for another triathlon.
Keep in mind, he was 23 years old at this point. So me just imagining like a 23-year-old boy, because there were boys still at this point, just like having the idea of like, oh, I'm just going to use my mind and I'm just going to lay still on my fucking face. I can't really wrap my brain around a 23-year-old doing that, but really cool.
I don't know. And I don't think I read or heard about the reason why he thought that, but I mean, maybe it was just an intuitive nudge to
probably
this is what I got to do. Wow. But it's insane. So I also want to kind of talk about the science behind this because this is my favorite part. So what actually happens when the placebo effect works, because this is where it gets really interesting. So when a person truly believes that they are receiving something that will heal them, so like if it is a pill that they're taking, the brain doesn't just sit there hoping for the best, right? It actually starts releasing real chemicals like endorphins and dopamine, the same ones that real medicine would trigger. Your nervous system physically shifts out of that fight or flight mode, the stress mode, and it drops into your rest and digest mode, which is your body's natural repair mode, which you need to recover. And when your body feels safe, when you're not running from that threat, it becomes so much more capable of doing what it literally was designed to do, which is heal itself and regenerate. So it's not just some fluffy, it's all in your head thing. It's actually the opposite, right? Your mind is in constant communication with your body, your thoughts, your beliefs, your expectations. They are all sending signals to every cell in your body all day long. It's connecting your nervous system regulation with that energetic alignment. And when you put those two together, that's where, I don't know, like miracles happen, I want to say.
Right. Well, and you know what's funny too, when people are like, oh, it's just in your head. Like it actually literally is in your head too, because the brain is self-medicating with its own natural drugs. So like, I'd be like, yeah, it is in my head and it's fucking working.
Exactly. So yeah, when people say that, you're like, yeah, just in my head. Oh, it's just a belief. But if belief literally changes brain chemistry and releases neurotransmitters or whatever, then belief is it just a word for biological process that we don't fully understand yet?
Yeah.
I love the placebo effect.
I do too. I totally do too. And I welcome it. I mean, even if people know that they're taking a placebo, the effects still work.
Yes.
So it's like, what do you need so that you can believe something will work or something will help you or something will get you to where you want to go?
Absolutely.
It's kind of like manifestation.
I know.
Like if you believe you can get it, then it's going to be yours. It's just.
That's true.
That's wild.
So here's a question I want you to think about and sit with for a second, Heidi, because I went on a little spiral for a second here.
I love spirals. Let's go.
So if belief has the power to heal, then what about doubt? Does doubt have the power to harm? So it's not just like a physiological question. There's actual studies where patients were given these sugar pills, these placebo pills, but they were told that they might experience side effects. And guess what? They did. They had real symptoms from a fake pill just because they expected it.
Yeah.
So belief is working in both directions at the same time.
Yeah. My thought on does doubt cause harm? I think what it does, actually, this is one of my intuitive gifts I feel like I'm developing right now, is being able to kind of see blockages in the body and kind of what Louise is talking about, like associating it with what trauma, like what is it that's holding it back? It feels like doubt or grief or resentment. It doesn't necessarily cause the bad thing to happen, but it stops or blocks the flow of that energy. And then it builds up and then it can cause a physical thing like a tumor or a ache or a pain or something. I don't think it necessarily is like, because you had a bad thought, now you're going to have something bad happen to your body. I think it's just builds over time. And then so literally when you just start to change that flow by just going through the forgiveness or figuring out your trauma, it just opens and releases that energy flow, which you could call chi, you could call whatever it is, but it allows it to flow through and then it detoxes through your body. It escapes through your literal colon. That's probably why she did enemas. And but you know what I mean? Like it's just this energy buildup. And so I don't want people to be scared of oh, what if I'm a worrier? Or what if this happens? Because I do feel like even though it's thoughts are powerful,
they are,
it goes both ways. So you can change it pretty quickly by just catching yourself in a negative thought loop and then kind of releasing it that way. But I feel like if you think of it as like a dam where it's like things are flowing and then all of a sudden you're layering brick by brick by brick, it's not going to stop it immediately, but eventually it's going to slow the flow and then eventually it'll stop it. So then I feel like that's where I feel like I've been healing is in my heart chakra, actually, like my literal heart. And even though I don't really have heart issues, everything around it, my shoulder, my neck, I have really bad shoulder problems, muscle problems all around here. And I think it's all related to this deep grief that I've been holding for literal lifetimes. But that can be another podcast episode.
And we've also said before, we can't have positive thoughts all the time.
No.
We are going to have negative thoughts. We are going to have doubt creep in. And the difference is that maybe allow your body to feel that, but also make sure you can release it. Because if we hold on to it, hold on to those grudges or hold on to those worrisome thoughts, your body is going to literally start to tense up and, like you said, block that energy. So I think it's important to release, but it's important to feel all of the feelings. We are human beings, for Christ's sake.
Let them move through you. Stop holding them in.
Yes.
Cry in the shower.
So from that, there is one more story that I thought was pretty interesting because it does speak to the double effect of your beliefs and your doubts. So it's been written about in the medical literature, but it's a man called Mr. Wright. I don't know if that's his actual name, but he had advanced cancer and tumors were everywhere. He was in pretty bad shape. And his doctors told him about a new drug that they were working on, and it was being called a potential miracle treatment. And after he received it, his tumors shrank dramatically, like shocking results. But then the medical community came out and said, oh, the drug wasn't actually effective enough, so they're canceling the treatment. And when Mr. Wright heard that, his cancer came back. And then here's where it gets wild. His doctors, I think it was like a year later, decided to tell him, oh, there's a new improved version of this drug that we're trying again and it's available. Do you want to go through another trial? And he said, yes, let's do it. So they injected him with saline. It's just salt water, nothing in it. And his tumor shrank again. And he got better again until one day he read a news report that definitively said, nope, this isn't working. And they were like faking the treatment the whole time. The company got in trouble, I think. And his cancer
helped him.
It did help him, but then his cancer came back again and he passed away shortly after that. So this is kind of a sad story.
Wild.
But same body, same disease. The only thing that changed every single time was his belief.
Yeah.
And I think this is so intriguing to me because I personally am so persuaded by statistics, right? Specifically medical stats. Like I believe my doctors are the end all be all and what they tell me is gospel. So I could absolutely see this affecting me in my mind, body, and soul when I found out these studies don't actually work too. Oh, I would shut down.
Yeah, but I don't think, this is me though, but I would be like, well, if it didn't work for everybody, it worked for me. So I don't care. Like,
well, that's why we're very different.
I would have held
people.
on to that. We are very different people. But I also find it interesting because Mr. Wright also had lymphoma, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which again, cancer of the lymph nodes. And then like, if you think about it, the lymphatic system is all your drainage system of all the toxins and everything. So it's like people getting like lymphoma and that being attached to emotional trauma, that really makes sense to me. Like that, right? That's like your detoxifying system. It's your release system. And if you're holding on and not releasing things, you're going to get buildups there.
Yeah. Oof. I think my homework this year is to work on my own beliefs and what I am holding on to. I have psoriasis on my knees, and I'm very curious if I can like trick my mind into healing itself, or like, why are my knees holding my pain?
I think we could totally dive into that because I'm trying to practice my intuitive healing abilities in that realm. And I immediately got the connection with mom's knee. Like mom has really bad knees. There is like a maternal wound here that is, and so mom's was deep because hers is like her actual knees. Yours is surface level because it's psoriasis now. So there, we got to figure out what that means. But I think I'm onto something. I think things are happening.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to heal you this summer. I promise.
It's so silly. When I was a teenager, because I also had it when I was a teenager on my knees. And I always thought it was because I was a runner. I'm like, ugh. I run track and cross country and it just
you're like,
so much pain on my knees.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, how do you get psoriasis?
You don't.
Track?
That's what my teenage thought was. Like,
I love it. It's great.
But yeah, I want to work on healing that. I would also love to trick my mind into creating more collagen as I'm nearing 40 this year. That's high on my wish list.
Fuck it. I'm just going to get facials and microblading. I don't care.
But this is exactly why I love talking about intuition, mindset, energy, and science, because we're not saying don't go to doctors. We're saying don't forget you also have a role in your own healing. Like you can be part of the solution. You're not just the patient.
Mm-hmm. I think medicine is just a small portion of things that we can do for healing and stuff like this, because this is not a small case study group. Like there are so many people who have done acupuncture, qigong, like so many different ways, Eastern medicine, Western medicine, whatever. It's not just one thing. So I love that people are just breaking out more and starting to think about other ways that you can heal.
Yeah. So if you have a story where you healed yourself, or really any other unbelievable stories, we love them.
We just want stories.
Please write
We're begging.
them in. Yeah, I love reading them. So write them into stories@trustyourselfpodcast.com and we may read them on our next episode.
Yes.
All right, Heidi, it is time for you to get out your tarot deck and give us a reading for the upcoming week.
It's my Moonology Oracle deck again.
Of course. What can we expect for the energy for the collective?
What's happening this week? Remember, if you sing to your deck.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It makes you have a better outcome.
It gives you clearer direction. All right. What do we need to know this week? Okay, here we go. So I got 2 cards. The end of a tough cycle approaches, full moon in Capricorn. So
Bye-bye,
if you've
psoriasis.
been, exactly, like if you've been dealing with some stuff, maybe the end of this tough cycle is approaching, because also conclusions are within reach. Full moon eclipse. So
Ooh.
2 full moons.
2 full moons.
Whatever you've been manifesting is coming your way, baby.
Love
I
that.
love this. So conclusions and the end of a tough cycle. That's great. Great news.
Great
Yay.
news, everyone. Good diagnosis or prognosis. Or
Yes. Good prognosis. All right. That's what I got.
Awesome. Well, don't forget to write in your stories. And until next time, it's your move, sis.
Make it count.
Bye.